Welcome back to Worldview. The high price of not being arsed to vote. This is the Monday Line, a special bank holiday edition. I'm Dennis Campbell. Now, the biggest threat to Democrats retaking the U.S. House and holding the Senate, or Labour winning the 2015 UK general election, is neither the candidates nor issues. Rather, it's voter apathy and weariness with the daily parade of stupid from those who govern us via badly broken election systems. Pundits this past week declared it a nearly impossible lift for Democrats to retake the House in 2014 midterm elections. That's 19 months from now. Now, here in the UK, we wonder if Gromit, aka Labour leader Ed Miliband, has what it takes to beat the Tories. Now, it will be an impossible lift if Democrats again pout at the president, or stay home and let the GOP, or here PM David Cameron and the Tories simply waltz away with the NHS and every British institution. We can't afford an election where people stay away, a pattern they've sadly and predictably followed in off-year elections for decades. In 2010, it was most damaging as progressives stayed away, voting their conscience, instead of facing political reality. No commiserative group hug could change results in the US or the UK. It was infuriating watching the GOP and Tories win thousands of races. The protest non-votes put control of state legislatures and parliament in the hands of radical social issue conservatives who handed entire governments to austerity and privatization out of control zealots who now control Westminster, state governments, and the U.S. House of Representatives. Staying home and pouting in 2014 or 2015 is not an option. Now, while we all laugh at the current follies of the Republican Tea Party, they've shown themselves to be a dangerous group of ideologues who, if given the power to control government, will ensure it cannot ever do its job. The Democrats need to find and develop candidates with the courage to stand up to special interests and do what is right for the people of their state. Sadly, with past as prologue, too many Democrats, Labour, and progressives will assume someone else will vote, and simply stay home or find something more important to do on Election Day. One need only watch the state of South Carolina today to see what happens when voters either show up or stay home in huge numbers. Now, in South Carolina, their womanizing Appalachian Trail hiking former governor could actually win re-election to the U.S. House despite facing trespass charges from his ex-wife and lying to the entire state just 3.5 years ago. Now, for international readers and viewers, the governor, Mark Sanford, gave his security detail the slip and flew to Buenos Aires to be with his Argentinian soulmate at great taxpayer expense over a long holiday weekend. Alarms were raised when the state's CEO could not be reached. His office said the governor was, quote, hiking the Appalachian Trail, close quote, a wilderness path that stretches across several eastern seaboard states. When his flight returned from Buenos Aires, though, he was met by the local media who confronted him with his lies. Within days, the scandal cost him the governorship and his marriage. He disappeared from the public eye. Recently, though, he began a redemption tour across this mostly Christian state, asking for forgiveness and doing and saying anything that could become palatable and re-electable. Opportunity knocked in December when Senator Jim DeMint abruptly resigned to head the Heritage Foundation. South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley appointed Congressman Tim Scott to complete DeMint's term in the Senate. That left a vacancy in the House. And to Mark Sanford, whose run for this 1st District seat was déjà vu, since he held it before running for governor. Now, Democrats salivated at the prospect of running against a morally wounded candidate, and polls, plus a history of questionable voting results, showed Sanford was beatable with the right candidate, despite the district voting for Mitt Romney by 18 points in November. Enter businesswoman and strong fiscal conservative Democrat Elizabeth Colbert Bush. So if Sanford wins today, it will further harm the GOP's attempt at rebranding itself, and there's another race in which to attack the GOP. Polls narrowly favor Sanford, and many in the press wondered aloud this week if his victory would be a good thing for the GOP. 2 results came in this week showing that in the 2012 presidential election, black voter turnout outperformed white voter turnout significantly. Some say that was because the white vote stayed home and could not vote for Mitt Romney. Other polls, though, from Harvard University pointed to continued racial strife in America and how racial prejudice cost President Obama up to 4% of the total vote across the nation. Now, regardless of pundit predictions, change in control of the US House or the UK Parliament will require an enthused, angry electorate show up and demand change. Those in the 90% who are livid with congressional inaction in the gun control battle need to show up and vote for change in the House. Those angry at NHS privatization and cuts need to show up in May 2015. Unless and until there are real consequences, elections on both continents will continue to go to those who generate the biggest donor checks, and to hell with everybody else. Come Wednesday morning, armchair pundits everywhere will be spewing the only thing matters is what has mattered in every election since they began counting. If people are angry, they turn out and vote. If people are lulled into either a false sense of security, disgust, or apathy, they don't. And it is precisely that apathy and disgust that harms us all. In the UK, people say, I can't be arsed to vote. It means I can't be bothered. In last week's local elections, the turnout here was so abysmally low that a radical far-right party, the UKIP, UK Independence Party, won 26% of available council seats across the UK. Now, that wasn't enough to make a difference. It was, though, the same as the equally low turnout European parliamentary elections, almost 4 years ago, where UKIP also won seats. When apathy keeps 60 to 65% of voters at home, we all have a big problem. So check South Carolina's turnout numbers Tuesday night carefully when they come in. Ask yourself, were the voters in this race? Did they come or did they stay home? That should tell any candidate or party boss what needs to be done in 2014 and 2015.